Okay, so hello and welcome to Project 3. It's going to be the last project in our Math 117 class this semester. So just a brief overview of what's going on here. So we have a study, and so I have data that's going to be different than your data for the purpose of this example and for these videos, okay? So your data is going to be different, so don't expect to get the same answers as me. So we have data that is the smoking mother's newborn weights. This is the weight. This is the weight of newborns that are born to smoking mothers, and then we have the weight of newborns born to non-smoking mothers. So the idea is, you would maybe expect that the average weight in each of these groups may be different, right? If you smoke, it's, at this point, it's pretty well established that smoking reduces newborn birth weight. Okay, so we'll be looking into this. So for the first question, is this an observational or experimental study? Now, it's not specifically said in the overview what type of study this is. However, so what this study is it's a study conducted to evaluate birth weights of infants, right? And think about, what would an experimental study look like? What would an observational study look like? One of these types of studies is inappropriate. So even though it's not specifically outlined what type of study this is, you should be able to tell which type of study it is, because one would be completely inappropriate. So think about what an observational study would look like and what an experimental study would look like, and think about what. So when you're thinking about experimental study, think about what the researcher would need to manipulate in this case, and think about whether or not that is an ethical thing to manipulate. Okay, and then for part B, identify the variables. So there are two variables that you should be able to identify, and then for each of those variables, so for the first and second variable, identify whether or not it's nominal, ordinal, interval, or a ratio. Okay, identify its type. So I just want to remind you that you should be writing your answers in a Word document. Okay, so when you decide it's observational, or whatever you decide, if it's observational or experimental, you should have in a Word document some sentences explaining your thought and everything. Okay, so all right, and so the next video we'll move on to question number 2.